I have the perfect girlfriend, but I pay a hefty price. I was always jealous of my best friend Don. He had the life. Great job, awesome digs, nice car. The thing I was most jealous of was his perfect wife, Tabitha. They had a perfect marriage. Tabitha supported everything he did, trusted him completely, was not a spendthrift or high maintenance. She gave other men that stared at her nasty looks and let everyone around her know she was his girl. She cooked amazing food. She was a total bombshell, and he told me, although never giving details, that after going to bed with her, he never wanted to sleep with another woman. We had a bro lunch together a month ago, and my life changed forever. We met at a local sports bar and had wings and beer. I was cut from work early as I approached overtime. He could leave whenever he wanted as long as his quotas were met. Plus, he was acting chief operations officer right now, which made him my boss. I sat down in the booth with him. We talked for about half an hour, demolishing wings, drinking beer, sports, etc. You know, you're my only married friend that's okay to do this. Tom and Larry are always like, I have to check with Susan, or the kids have baseball games, I said. That's because they suck, and so do their wives and fake happy lives. You know they're miserable. I go home and my baby is hot and ready. She pushes me to be better. All I have to do is take care of her, he replied. Don was always the man. He could act like a tool, but he was right. I didn't want to end up like Larry or Tom. I dreamed of a marriage like Don's. 7 years of marriage and they're still running strong. Larry and Tom have been married a lot less longer, and they want to kill themselves. Hanging out with them is a bummer. Don wiped his mouth with a napkin. He looked right at me with a smile. I have some good news for you, bro. Yeah? Is it another perfect girl out there waiting for a guy like me? I replied sarcastically. He continued his smile. Tabitha's sister, Rachel, is coming to town this weekend. Tabby talked you up to her, and she really wants to meet you. So you're coming over tonight. I won't take no for an answer, bro. I was amazed. A little sister of Tabby's wants to meet me. I need to know if this was real. You got a picture of her? I asked. Tabitha said she didn't want to spoil the surprise by showing you a picture of her. Also, she was right. He began drinking his beer as I sat, perplexed. Right about what? I asked. He put his beer down, took a breath, and said, It is fucking creepy when people ask for pics of people's relatives. We both laughed. I cheersed his glass, and we finished our drinks. As soon as we parted ways, I raced to my apartment. I was excited to meet Rachel. I sang in the shower. I sang while I got ready. I pictured every amazing actress I had in my head. I pictured a sexier version of Tabitha, if such a woman exists. My phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. Hello, this is Chad. Good afternoon, Chad. This is Detective Sam Pearl. Are you an employee of Ethan Davis? He asked. Yes, he's my boss, I replied. I'm calling to inform you that he's been missing for the past 5 days. His family has become concerned. Any ideas? He has literally vanished, he asked. Ethan was always busy. I saw him maybe twice a month. Horrible boss. Everyone was uptight when he was around. No, detective, I haven't a clue. If I hear from him, I'll let you know. He wasn't really well liked, if that helps. I've already gathered that much, sir. This case is pretty much a waste of time. To be honest, I'm in the middle of looking for a missing schoolgirl. If you hear from your boss, let me know. We hung up and I thought about Ethan for a second. Then back to this mysterious Rachel. I had such high hopes for her. I arrived at Don's right on time with a bottle of the best Merlot I could find. I rang the doorbell. Tabitha answered the door. Chad, thank you so much for coming over. It's so good to see you. Come in, she said while embracing me. She led me to the kitchen where I saw Dawn chatting with who I assume was Rachel. Her back was turned to me. She had beautiful, long, black hair and an amazing figure. Dawn looked at me, triggering her to look at me. I didn't know anything about love at first sight, but now I do. She turned around and my heart collapsed. "Chad, come over here, bro," said Don. I was literally walking over towards the goddess. Screw Tabitha. At that moment, I knew I would do anything this woman asked me to. "Hi, I'm Rachel. It's nice to meet you," she said with her hand extended. Even her voice was perfect. In a split second, I imagined bright mornings waking up next to her in white sheets. "Chad, it's nice to meet you too." I wanted to skip all the introductions and embrace her, but I kept my swag. We had a bunch in common as we spoke. She had interests that I had never even thought of trying, like crazy shows and backpacking. She thought it was cool that I was side hustling as a poker player and loved casinos as much as I did, though she preferred blackjack and pai gow. We talked so long, we didn't even notice Tabby and Don grabbing their coats. "Come on, you two lovebirds, we have reservations at Mackey's," he declared. Don had a limo waiting outside. We sat down and rode off. He popped a bottle of champagne. "What's the occasion, Don?" I asked. "Well, she'll be to friends, new and old, but I am now the chief operations officer, so..." We all raised our glasses, congratulating him. We began having a party in the limo. Rachel was already touching me and nestling on my shoulder playfully, but still being a little coy. I loved it. Every moment made me want her more. We arrived at Mackey's Steakhouse. As we got out, in a display of chivalry, I helped Tabby and Rachel out of the limo as Don followed them out. We walked in together, and Don began a conversation with me as we looked at the gorgeous sisters in front of us. "Look at those gorgeous ladies, Chad. You better not cock this up, because I guarantee you won't find a better woman." "I wouldn't dream of it, buddy," I replied. "Congrats on the promotion again." I didn't want to bring it up, but Don was promoted to Ethan's old position, so I did. "Speaking of, a detective called me earlier about..." Don interrupted me very casually. "Detective Pearl, I know. I was called too." "Let's not talk about that stupid prick, Ethan. He probably faked his death to rip somebody off or something. No one liked that maggot anyway. Let's enjoy the night, my friend." I shrugged it off. He was right. In corporate America, when guys like that disappear, it benefits society. Fuck him. I got the sexiest woman alive in an expensive restaurant with my best friend who is now my boss. Life is sweet. The night was filled with drinks and good times. We went clubbing and I learned more about Rachel. She's a paralegal, she loves law, she looks beautiful in anything, and enjoys sexy lingerie. Guys would stare at her and she would move next to me and give them nasty looks like they didn't have a chance. My love and desire for her burned brighter. When we got back to Don's and enjoyed a nightcap together by his luxurious outdoor fireplace, I was preparing to leave and she walked me to my car. "Hey, I had a great time this evening," she said. "At the risk of being vulnerable, is it possible I can see you tomorrow? I know you're only in town till Sunday," I asked. "I would love nothing more," she said as her voice faded while leaning into me. She gave me the most passionate kiss a woman has ever given me. "I can't wait till tomorrow. Why don't you..." She stopped me with her fingers on my lips and smiled. "Not tonight. Not yet. I'll see you tomorrow." She backed up, staring at me, turning around, and went inside. I was speechless. I got in my car and proceeded down the driveway. I was shuffling music when I looked up and hit the brakes. In the driveway crossed what appeared to be a large wolf. He stopped and looked at me with a large bone in his mouth. The bone was about the size of a human femur. He growled and then moved on. I was worried as I drove home, but then my mind went back to Rachel. I drove home and went to bed. I spent the whole day with Rachel. We met at the marina downtown, got lunch, made out on the water taxi, got ice cream, flirted, and played games. We rode the trolley and proceeded back to my place around 6 in the evening. We couldn't hold back any longer. We got hot and heavy. This is not a porno, so like Don says, no deets. We fell asleep in my bed after our activities. I knew I could never sleep with another woman again. I drifted off with her head on my chest, wondering if she was a fallen angel. I awoke to the sound of my apartment door closing. Rachel was gone. I looked at the clock. 12. I got up, grabbed my pistol, and went to the door and saw Rachel taking her shoes off. She had a drop of blood running down the side of her lip. I rushed to her. "Are you okay?" I asked. I placed my gun back in my nightstand. "Sorry, I had to leave to go use the ladies' room. I'm not comfortable using your bathroom yet. I didn't mean to wake you." "You're bleeding. Did someone hurt you?" I asked as I reached for her face. She backed away and wiped her mouth. "I'm fine, I promise. I think you bit my lip earlier," she said with her sexy voice. She looked at me as she placed her hands on my chest. She ran her fingertips down my abs, and I was immediately ready for action again. I was worried, but she was probably right. Her hands were touching in a way that my anatomy forced me to let go. We went back to bed and went to sleep at like 6 in the morning. We slept the morning away and were invited back over to Don and Tabby's Sunday evening. We had a late lunch that I ordered from Uber Eats. I noticed that Rachel does not eat much. I thought that maybe that's the key to maintaining her figure. As we left, I saw a crime scene down the alleyway next to my building. There was blood everywhere. The police had it blocked off. "Did you see that?" I asked Rachel. "No, what is it, my love?" she said. She called me her love. I immediately dismissed it. "Nothing, my love, it was nothing." We made it over to Don's around 5 o'clock and enjoyed the weather on his deck. We sipped wine with them and talked about our Saturdays and what the next week had in store. The night approached and it was 10:30. I was feeling good. "Okay, ladies, it's about that time. You go have your conversation. I need to talk to my man Chad in the study." Rachel grabbed me to the side. "Chad, I think I'm going to move here and take that paralegal job at Don's Midtown branch. We can have lunch together all the time. I can't wait. Tabby and I will be back. Go have fun with Don. Please pay attention, though. He has something important to talk to you about, darling." They went down the hallway, chatting it up. I followed Don to his study. I was so excited about actually having a future with Rachel that I got giddy on the outside. All of a sudden, I had to piss, urgently. "Don, I'll be right back. I gotta take a leak." He stopped and looked up at the ceiling. "Fine. Straight to the bathroom and straight back. We need to talk," he said sternly. I made my way to the bathroom. After my business was concluded, I stepped in the hall. I heard a voice that I recognized coming from down the hall. It was Ethan's voice. I followed the sound to an open door at the end of the hallway. I looked down the steps and saw 3 silhouettes on the wall. 2 of them belonged to the girls, and the other was a man in a chair. His silhouette appeared to be a stump. No legs, no arms. "Please, stop eating me. No more," he said. I confirmed that was Ethan's voice. I began to move closer. Before I could get closer, the silhouettes of the girls turned into the shadows of beasts with gigantic teeth, and they began devouring Ethan. The shadows were digging into the chest and neck. I stepped back in horror as his screams were silenced. All of a sudden, a hand came over my mouth and I was in a chokehold. I couldn't counter the move. I realized it was Don, and he told me to shh. Don dragged me to his study and threw me on the couch. "Don't freak out, dude," he said. I rose up to him and he pushed me back down to the couch. "Listen, let me explain. This is what I want to talk about." "What the fuck are they, Don?" I interrupted. He calmed me down and handed me a drink. "They're the perfect women with crazy appetites. They are amazing and they love us. They don't eat the partners they choose as long as we take care of them." "Listen, this is a lot to absorb. I know it was for me when I first met Tabby, but you just fed them Ethan, Don," I interrupted. "I know, but fuck Ethan. He was a pompous asshole from a long line of pompous assholes. He deserved to be my wife's meal. Every prick I ever fed her deserved it and had it coming. I fed her my uncle, Tom, for molesting my niece. This is an awesome gig, dude." I stepped back and sat down, absorbing what he was saying. "Listen, you only saw silhouettes. You can just pretend this is part of the relationship. You'll be so happy. You love Rachel, right?" I answered immediately, "Yes, I do. He smiled at me with that bro smile. He held out his glass to me. Then, as your boss and future brother-in-law, we have your future to discuss. I was strong enough to forget this. I didn't want to end up like Tom and Larry. We cheers our glasses. Last week, we celebrated my promotion to Executive Vice President of Sales. I made love to Rachel all night in our new home as we celebrated after she finished her meal. I own all sorts of toys, and I have the most beautiful wife in the world. A word to all of you out there, don't screw with me, or you may be her next meal. Good day.